only thing I know about stocks is like the people that DM me about Forex, and I'm like, what is this?
Forex is trash. Forex is trash.
I'm like, what's wrong with American stock? And I don't even know, like,
Do you invest in index funds?
I don't do anything except put all the money back into this business.
Oh, that's admirable though.
Yeah, I literally don't know anything. That's why I love to get different people on the like. I talk to Landon about NFTs, because I want to just continue to educate myself. And my philosophy on this, just real quick, I want you to get back into this, is just I want to find people like you and Landon that are pretty like intelligent in that area, especially in comparison to me. If we were to just relate it to martial art, it's like I feel like a white belt, and you're like a black belt. Because even if you got 5 years of experience, that's 5 years that I don't want to invest into learning. That I could just give you the money and be like, hey, here's an extra 10 grand I want to give you monthly because you know so much about stock options. Or like, I love staying in touch with Landon because he's into that like real big stuff that are like with the venture capitalism of he's going out and like seeing what's going to change the world over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
Welcome, guys, another episode of Adversity Kings. We've got special guest Tony Santana.
Yes.
Right? Tony Santana.
That's my stage name.
Originally from Chicago?
Yep.
Okay. What's your like name? If that's your stage name.
My name is Tony Akocha.
Tony Akocha?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nigerian.
Let's go. That's cool, dude. I love UFC and Kamaru Usman and Stylebender.
Yeah.
I believe are both
Nigerian.
And then the heavyweight champ, then Francis Ngannou as well.
Yeah, Ngannou. He's a monster.
Yeah, literally.
He's actually one of my favorite fighters. I was just watching More Place, More Dates.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the YouTuber?
Yeah, Derek.
Yeah. He was just giving his analysis of Francis' physique, which is pretty like
it's
absurd.
insane.
Yeah.
It's insane, bro. It's insane. So I was ripping real quick on, he was asking me in regard to how I got inspired to start in life insurance. Then ultimately that led to me running my own company, agency, essentially in Chicago now, Lombard, Illinois for the last year and a half. But so back where I was at, expelled from high school, didn't know what I was doing. And then I was working at a pizza shop with my best friend growing up. And he's like full-blown 100% Italian, like I think it was his grandparents that actually came over. And so I was working there and I was working at UPS and I was just thinking like I had really nothing going for my life. I knew I wanted to be rich or wealthy, and I didn't know if there was another opportunity outside of like my best bet may have been to go to the military. I loved adrenaline, so maybe I could become a pilot one day. And so I was like, maybe I'll just go to the Air Force, see if I could ever work my way up into becoming a pilot. And got this automated email, it looked like, but it looked somewhat legit, so I checked it out. And the owner was in my state, and so I was like, it can't be that much of a scam. If there's a picture of, I Googled the owner, Simon Arias, and that's my partner now.
What state are you originally from?
Arkansas originally, but I was in Pittsburgh because both my parents went to jail, so it's kind of like my reverse story. Both my parents were incarcerated, and then my mom got out first, and she was originally from Pittsburgh, and we had nothing to go back to. Once you go to jail, you lose everything, so we went back to Pittsburgh to live with her parents. So we stayed with my grandparents, and we just never left that general area. And long story short, I got that email, and I went in, checked it out. Didn't necessarily know anything about anything, so life insurance was so alien to me. And I don't know, I just saw a lot of money. I saw Maseratis in the parking lot, and I was like, man, maybe this is something I could do.
Yeah, I love hearing your story. You're a hero. I tell people this all the time. Like, heroes only come from unfortunate circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Batman had his parents killed right in front of him.
Yeah.
Spider-Man got bit by a spider. He's also in a pretty bad situation as well.
Yeah, his uncle died.
So like, to become a hero, you sort of have to overcome those unfortunate circumstances that you were dealt, and that seems like what you've done and continue to do throughout your whole life. So
trying.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I definitely wanted to do this podcast, Adversity Kings. I love the name. I love everything about it. And just seeing you talk on social media, I felt like I saw a lot of you in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to be around more people like that. I want to continue to cultivate a network of people who are like-minded, open-minded, and just dedicated to becoming the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, yeah, super grateful to be here.
Yeah, super grateful to have you, dude. And I'm listening into your podcast, and I'm reading on you, and it's almost kind of like labeling of people. You know what I mean? So it's like most people, I would look at the overall music industry, specifically with like the rap industry, and it'd be like, there's no way like that individual is probably diversified, not only like in their business endeavors, but also like really just in their I don't know, demographical communication, and then being diverse in your education as well, and knowing different things really scholastically, but also like business wise as well. You know what I mean? So it was like, as I was listening to the music, and I'm like, okay, cool, another rapper. But you know what I'm talking about? It's like, oh, okay, cool, another rapper. So it's going to be another one of these kind of people.
Yeah,
You know what I
sure.
mean? But then I start to like dissect you, and I'm reading through all of this, and I'm just kind of like, this is going to be a very unique individual, because I wouldn't even like say, I guess you could label, the music industry, or it's more so of like a genre or a flavor, like almost the same deal with music. You kind of have that with different people, but so it was cool as I'm reading down. I'm like, this will be dope, because you know what I mean. There's going to be more to talk about outside of, where usually if you excel in something, maybe sometimes regardless of where your music, your athletic or something like that, it's just your specialty is that one area,
right?
Opposed to being like I said in the beginning, that diversification. So what kind of inspired you to want to like tap into all these different areas?
Well, I think you just said something really interesting. I did a podcast last week, and I brought up the concept of an economic moat. So when businesses start, they kind of want to have a moat. They want to have something unique to themselves that other people can't necessarily compete with, right? So I felt like just coming from a diverse background and having all these different influences in a homogenized industry such as the music industry, it gives me a competitive edge, because I can talk about different things in my music, sprinkle it in. And I just think it comes from my upbringing, right? Two parents, really multicultural household, multi-generational household, and I just had a bunch of different influences. I was influenced by people like my brother, my sister, just everybody in my life, going to a multicultural middle school, a global middle school, as well as a very diverse high school. I sort of took all those different influences and, I put them in me. I immersed myself in all these different cultures, and like I just use it to increase my cultural capital in a way. I want to be able to have a conversation about anything. I want to be able to have discussions about anything, because it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
What was your background like? What was growing up for you like?
I had a pretty interesting upbringing, right? So my parents are originally from, like I said, my dad came from Nigeria and things like that. So they migrated to the north side of Chicago, uptown area. I don't know if you're familiar with the uptown area.
Maybe a little bit. And Landon introduced me to a guy named Tim Arthurs, and I hear the Northtown is a wealthier area, and he's a wealthier individual. So right. I don't know if you're familiar.
Well,
Tim's like a huge financial banker type of guy.
No, definitely. It does have that aspects of it. But when my family first migrated there, it wasn't
evolved to that point.
Yeah, it wasn't evolved to that point. There wasn't a large amount of funds in that particular area, right? It was very popular for people who had just immigrated to the country.
Now, why did they immigrate? Was there something going on in Nigeria?
Well, I think America is the best place for opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the best country for opportunity. So, sort of, my parents met at Truman College in the uptown area, had my brother. So, yeah, they just basically raised him, and they had me about like five years later. And so, yeah.
So what's your brother do?
My brother's an entrepreneur. He's also a serial entrepreneur as well. He's in real estate. He's into the music industry, different things like that. So,
where do you guys get the entrepreneurship? Are your parents entrepreneurial?
My dad is a little bit entrepreneurial. I like to tell people this story a lot. My dad was the first person that I knew that like traded stocks. He was the first person I knew that was making money off his phone digitally and things like that. So I think it was just the expectation to be great, right? And you can only make so much money on a job, and I always knew I wanted to be rich. I knew a job would only be willing to pay me so much. So even though I work a job right now, I knew I had to keep my hands in other different mediums and diversify myself, so I have the opportunity to be wealthy,
Yeah, absolutely. So as you're growing up, what was, I guess I want to kind of go down the route of like culturally, what was the influence then? Now, where your dad was from Nigeria, where's your mom from then?
No, my mom was actually, she lived in Chicago her whole life.
Okay, so your mom's from Chicago then.
Yes.
Now, what was that cultural influence, and like even from your mom's side and your dad's side? Like what was the specific details of growing up, and just what was that like?
So it's pretty interesting, right? On my dad's side, there's a bunch of different entrepreneurs, right? I have people like my uncle,
Yeah.
who is a very well-known entrepreneur in like Nigeria. You know, my cousins, they're pretty big farmers. They're in the
Yeah.
hydroponics in Nigeria as well. So my dad's side and my mom's side are very different. My dad's side had a lot of doctors, you know, people who were lawyers, people who went to Ivy League schools, investment bankers, things like that. On my mom's side, um, it's a lot smaller. It's a lot smaller. There weren't people that achieved as much in that aspect. They achieved in their own regard, but just from like a, you know, like a financial aspect, my dad's side was a lot more accomplished. So I really feel like I got both perspectives going up. I got to interact with people who, you know, were from certain areas in Chicago, you know, that just had a different mentality, right? So I feel like me as an individual, my personality is basically this amalgamation of, you know, that grittiness that is innate to people who grew up in Chicago, as well as, you know, being Igbo, you know, coming from a Nigerian family that many might consider wealthy. And I sort of, you know, morphed the two to become who Tony is today.
So, as you're growing up, what did you like most about growing up? Is there anything that specifically, even like a specific memory or something you were like the most fond memory you had growing up?
Yeah, yeah. So I think I was blessed to have great parents, right? My dad, my parents never hit me growing
Yeah.
up. Never got a whooping. My dad always gave me the capacity to make mistakes, right? I would do
Yeah.
something, never put his hands on me. It was a lot of positive reinforcement, right? My dad taught me a lot of lessons. He would always take us to the Bulls game. We had season tickets, Bulls game. We would go to the Sox game. Um, yeah, it was just a really fun childhood, right? Anything I wanted, I wouldn't say anything I wanted, I basically got, but um, I felt like I had everything I needed and more growing up, which was very different than some of the people that I grew up around. So it was always just a good experience. I would say just like family outings and things like that, because like I said, my dad's family is pretty big. So just being around my family.
Have you gone back to Nigeria?
So I have a trip there in December.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long?
It's about 3 weeks.
Are there
3 weeks.
lions there?
Yeah, there are lions in Africa, but nah, I haven't seen lions in Nigeria.
Okay, I was gonna say because we had a gentleman here that worked here, and he was from Kenya, and he was like, there really aren't any lions in Kenya. It was more just hyenas.
Right? No, there's lions. There's lions everywhere.
In
but,
Nigeria.
I've never,
Sometimes that throws me off.
I've never seen a lion, but I'm pretty sure there are lions. There's lions everywhere. But nah, there's not just lions like walking around in Nigeria. That would be pretty scary, man.
I think, but there are places that they just roam. Like
Yeah, no, definitely. Like
I wouldn't say around people, but I would say they for sure roam.
there has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
there
they
has
can't
to
all
be.
just be captive.
Yeah, no, definitely. I always think about that a lot. I wish animals and humans could just like coexist like that. That would be pretty lit.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm
Okay.
actually a pretty big meat eater.
Okay,
and
well,
advocate.
more plates, more dates. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big advocate of eating meat.
One of my favorite like top 10 movies. I love movies.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I pretty much like doing outside of like being at the office or work. And it's based on a true story out of Africa, and the lions are in a museum in Chicago. The movie's called The Ghost in the Darkness. I want to look up where it's based. Bro, you should check this movie out.
Nice.
Do you like movies at all?
So I do like movies. I would say my favorite movie of all time is The Dark Knight, but I
It's a great
also
movie.
really like Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
Yep,
Have you seen that movie?
I have.
Yeah, really good, inspiring movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you believe in meritocracy?
I don't know. I think I have different perspectives.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I know a lot of people that I tell that I like that movie, they don't like it because it pushes this false idea of meritocracy. And obviously, I think there's some validity to the idea of meritocracy, but I don't think it's the only determining factor or indicator of success, right? And I think that's pretty evident, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's important nevertheless. right? Because like you said, it seems like you didn't have anything handed to you. You were able to make the life that you wanted for yourself, right?
Yes.
So, who's to say that the next person couldn't do that, right? But you
Yeah.
might have something that's integral to you that people don't necessarily see.
That's where I kind of get torn because I feel like everything. I'm a big affirmations and mindset. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like where there's a will, there's a way. So it kind of directly corresponds. You know what I mean with exactly what you're saying. But I truly think everything's a reflection of the internal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everything on the external is just there's a spiritual correspondence or whatever you want to say. Some people are spiritual. Some people say
Mm-hmm.
scientific universal laws, whatever it might be. Your vibration and this, that, and the other. But that's where I feel like it kind of flows and intercoincides with what we're talking about.
Right. But I think that's interesting because do you feel like there was someone in your environment that inspired the mindset that you have, right? Because for me, it might not necessarily be like my environment that inspired me, or it might just be like having access to certain things, right? Having access to the internet, right? That
Wouldn't that be an environmental inspiration?
Yeah, I'm just saying like
Yeah.
that. So like I don't know, even if you have that innate desire within yourself to like work hard and achieve things, right? You could say that like environment is important, right? Like let's say somebody didn't have access to the internet. I don't know. It's like how do you quantify like meritocracy in a way? Like how can we say it's real like objectively? Like how can we objectively say meritocracy is valid or it isn't valid, right? I think it's a little bit of both.
Which that's where I would agree because again I think it kind of goes back to like you're saying. It's like comparing the two.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing the two of like, is there a direct influence or is there not a direct influence of making an individual successful or
Right.
inspiring and then assisting that individual in becoming successful?
Right. I don't know. I personally feel like success is just the sum of the decisions that you make, right?
Yes.
Success just comes down to
Daily.
like daily good
Daily
decisions.
disciplines.
Right. Yeah. So like this morning, I woke up, went straight to the gym. I went on a walk, went to the gym, came back. I wanted to rest, but I didn't act on that desire. Did a little prep, did a little work. Even though I'm off today, I work at a pretty big tech company that's they're really big on like mental health and things like that. So they give us opportunities to rest and get away from our computers, just like arbitrarily. You know what I mean? So even though I had the opportunity to rest and take advantage of this time, I still put in that work, right? Because I want to sort of, I don't know, I want to outwork the people that I work with. You know what I mean? Because I know they're not working. So why not take advantage of this opportunity to sort of distinguish myself as a hard worker? As a competent worker as well. So,
yeah, we push that as well. We're big advocates on, we call it MBS. You know what I mean? You'll see me post a lot about it on my social media on self-development, waking up, reading, diving into spiritual development, emotional development. Again, everything, I believe is a reflection on the external of the internal. You know what I mean? Your ability, I think, kind of going with what we're talking about with success acquisition, I think your success is only sustainable in correspondence with the level of internal fortitude you have. Without a proper foundation, nothing's going to stand.
Right.
You're not going to build some big, amazing house on some weak, small foundation. And so the size of the life that you're going to be able to build is going to directly just go hand in hand with the size of the life you can withstand from your internal development. That's why we're huge pushing on like, go read, you know what I mean? Go work out, make yourself better, get better. That way you can add more value to the organization.
Right, and you got to sort of systemize it because it's easy to do something one time, have a good day, and then not stick with it, right? So one thing that I'm really big on is just systems. So I always journal. I keep a checklist. I make sure that I'm hitting these different things every day. It's sort of like having a quota, right? I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And I don't know. It sucks to make promises to yourself and not keep them.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of get satisfaction out of, being able to make promises to myself, keep them, and then just keep going and growing and developing and becoming the person that I want to become. Because I don't know, I don't want to look back and be 30 and have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Which I realize is really easy to do. It's easy to fall in these loops. it's easy to fall in these cycles of just not being productive, right? And I didn't think this clicked for myself until I've always been a hard worker. I always excelled academically and things like that. But this didn't really click for me until like the pandemic, where I realized like my life is totally up to me. The good and bad, everything that happens is up to me. When I started practicing radical accountability, I'm responsible for everything. That's when I understood that I have to take control of my life and, systemize the decisions that I'm making. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to come and save me. No one's going to come and help me, right? It's just me. I'm a grown man. So, yeah.
What were your hobbies and sports you played growing up? Like, I feel like maybe did they help also, like, in your environment inspire who you are today?
Yeah, definitely. So, shout out to my mom. My mom put me in, like, taekwondo pretty early.
I was seeing that, the martial arts, because I do jiu-jitsu.
Nice. Yeah, my mom did jiu-jitsu, too. So,
yeah.
She actually started in college. She took a college class on jiu-jitsu. It was like a gym requirement or whatnot. And so, I used to go to class with her.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to her jiu-jitsu classes, watch her. And I picked up a lot. But I would say my number one sport growing up was definitely basketball. Played a lot of basketball. That's why I was asking you if you were a Bulls fan, because I'm a pretty big Bulls fan. Someone that inspired my mindset a lot was Kobe Bryant, actually. Just like his Mamba mentality, a lot of the things he has to say about mindset, wellness, discipline. I find it very inspiring, and I kind of bring that mentality to any medium that I'm navigating, right? So, yeah, basketball, martial arts. I played basically everything. Baseball, soccer. I wrestled. I wrestled in high school. I was an undefeated high school wrestler my freshman year, which was pretty dope.
You only wrestled 1 year and you were undefeated?
Yeah, my freshman year of high school, yep. Didn't lose a match. Yeah, did you wrestle?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've never heard of that in my life. Like, just to go into so, because wrestling is such a technical, difficult sport, and so to go in and...
I don't think I don't know. I felt like I was just a natural. I had a lot of natural just strength. I felt like I was just, because I was wrestling at like 145, which is crazy because like right now I'm like 210.
Yeah, well, that's a really good weight class too, and I'm thinking like...
Really good weight
even
class.
with natural strength, because it's so technical. It's like jiu-jitsu. It's like, I have a lot of strength too, but that won't stop a girl from choking me out sometimes.
Nah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
But the crazy thing about it, never losing a match, was that I used to get my ass whooped in practice.
Yeah.
By, the people who were like 145, 150, things like that. My friend RJ, he was actually the starting running back at the time. I still remember this. Like, he just whooped me in practice, slammed me. And it just made me question if this was what I wanted to do. So, yeah. But did you play a little basketball growing up?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, like a year or 2 years.
Yeah, I was big on basketball. I don't know. I always loved being on the team. I'm happy that my parents gave me the capacity to try different things out, put my hand in a lot of different things. And I felt like just doing this, it sort of helped me cultivate the friend group that I have now. I have those friends that I met when I was playing basketball who are totally different than the friends that I met while I was playing baseball, who were totally different than the friends that I met when I was playing soccer. So just like having all these different influences really help you diversify your social palette. Right?
So I'm curious about what belt you got up to in Taekwondo.
I was like, what was I? You know how they had the stripes? I was like a red belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was dope. It was dope. But the thing is about Taekwondo and martial arts in general, like once I stopped, well, I never really stopped, honestly. Once I stopped doing it physically, that's when I got more into like boxing, things like that. I was really big on like watching mixed martial arts as well. That's why I was happy that you brought up Francis and people like that. I was actually just watching an interview with Dana White.
Yeah.
And like the Nelk Boys.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I watched that one. I know I just recently watched one with Logan Paul, Dana White and Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that, but I didn't watch it. But, yeah, I'm really big on, like, one of my favorite people of all time, just favorite athletes of all time, Anderson Silva, right?
I love Anderson Silva.
Like, monster. Greatest, in his prime, one of the best fighters of all time, right?
Remember when Chris Weidman broke his leg?
Yeah. Oh my God, I was heartbroken, man.
Right.
I was heartbroken. I'm a big fan of Anderson Silva, Royce Gracie. Are you familiar?
Yep.
One of the
Yep.
pioneers in the UFC.
He's one of the founders of jiu-jitsu.
Right. No.
To the best of my knowledge.
Yeah. No. Royce Gracie, monster. I think I might have started because even before I was into martial arts, I was into the WWE. Right.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching people like RVD. CM Punk.
Yep.
Who also like had that mixed martial arts
Batista.
Batista. I was watching it way back in the day. I remember just being like 4, watching it with my dad. So even people like Brock Lesnar inspired me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, Ken Shamrock. I was always on YouTube. So I think that sort of helped inspire my love for just, combat sports. I even love boxing. Roy Jones Jr., also one of my like top 5 favorite athletes of all time.
Yep.
I would probably put him, Anderson, Kobe, D Rose, or Steve Nash. You know what I mean? So
Did you see the one Kobe interview where he was like, "Job's not done yet. Like, why would I be celebrating? Job's not done yet."
yeah, that's actually one of my favorite quotes of all time. I constantly have to tell myself that, because I feel like it's easy to accomplish something and get comfortable,
Yeah.
right? But the job's not done, and I think that's just a natural state of like being a human, right? Humans are naturally discontent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. I love that quote. I remember that moment. So yeah.
Now, what college did you go to?
I went to DePaul University in Chicago.
And then what degree do you have then?
So I studied economics. I wanted to go into economics because I was always into like quantitative and qualitative analysis. I always loved numbers growing up. So just after having conversations with my advisors, because I came into the school undecided. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was studying like politics and like Arabic or something like that. And I didn't think that was necessarily practical for what I wanted to do. I was into stocks as well, into the financial markets. I didn't necessarily want to study finance. I wanted to study something that would be broad enough where I had the option to basically go in any field that I wanted to. So, yeah, I went to DePaul, studied economics. Yeah, graduated in 4 years.
So you have a bachelor's of economics?
Yeah, bachelor's of economics. Yes.
And what was your experience like in college? Because it said you also studied abroad.
Yeah, college was lit, man. College was lit. My freshman year, I feel like that's when I started to become, who I am today. Like, just Tony Santana. It just gave me that abundance.
Where'd you come up with this Tony Santana?
I was watching the movie Paid in Full. And like,
I love Paid in Full.
Paid in Full, one of my favorite
Yeah, I have a
movies of all
poster in
time.
my office, Paid in Full poster.
Yeah, no, it's lit, man. It's lit.
I love the hustle. I love the game. That's
so,
my favorite line.
Rico, who was played by Cameron.
Yeah.
I loved his character, even though he was kind of, he did some things.
Yeah.
But he was played by Cameron, who rapped in a group with this guy named Jules Santana called Dipset.
Okay.
So when I saw Jules Santana, I was like, yo, I like that. I like that last name. Was actually a pretty big fan of Dipset too. So I was just like, yo, Tony Santana, it sounds fly. So I just went with it. But yeah, college was lit, man. I had a good time. DePaul's right in the city, so you have the opportunity to meet everyone. I was meeting people from all different backgrounds, and on weekends you would go out to the clubs, and it just gave me that abundance mindset that I needed coming straight out of high school.
Who was the coolest person you met in college?
That's a great question. I would probably say this guy named Reggie Martin. I met him in Macau. So
where's that?
It's basically in China.
Okay.
It's like the Las Vegas of, Asia.
Okay.
So was studying abroad. He's actually from Chicago. He likes to call himself the Black China Man. Had the opportunity to chop it up with him in Macau. He works for one of the richest people in the world. I forget his name exactly. And he also spent some time at Playboy,
Okay.
in some executive positions at Playboy. He was just a super, super good guy.
Does he work for Jack Ma or something?
Yeah,
Isn't that who made Alibaba?
that's the Alibaba CEO. But he also He did some work with Playboy, but he had this really cool story about
Like the
working with,
company Playboy,
yeah, like
Playboy Mansion and everything.
yeah, Playboy
Okay.
magazine, and then he also worked with the NBA. You
Wow.
know, which was super dope. And just like his story, I think he snuck into a game, created like a fake name tag and things like that. Found himself in a position where he was able to get on a plane, and they just like they respected the hustle. They realized this
The
guy.
Bulls.
No, I
He
forget.
got on with the Bulls. Like he snuck into a Bulls game. And
No, like he just snuck into a game with like his like a fake name tag. He was young at
but
the
like
time.
what game? Like what kind of game?
I don't know. I think it was an All-Star game. Honestly.
Okay, I'm like
I
a
forget.
poker game. Like
No, it was a basketball game. It was a basketball.
okay.
Game. I forget exactly the game. It was such a long story, but it was inspiring. I think the thing that I took away most from it was just like, you know what I mean? You just got to take those risks. I like to call them existential risks.
Yeah.
You know, things that could potentially change your life. A lot of us are scared to take those type of risks. So basically, he snuck into this game, got cool with people in the NBA, and then from there he just networked.
So for he really truly did live out the, you know, it's not what you know but who you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. So just learning about him and like his experience, and he embraced me, right? Because it's not that many black people that look like me, especially making their way to Macau, right?
Yeah.
So especially if they're not.
I wonder
athletes.
that's true. Like I wonder how many black people are like in China. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. There were some. I didn't see any in Macau.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any in.
What was that like over there? Like were you looked at as? I mean, you got to be looked at as like that like outside. Well, obviously you are. You're that outsider, that foreigner. Like
yeah.
Is China like more prejudiced to African Americans?
Well, I think prejudice is sort of like natural, especially in that sort of regard. Right?
Yeah.
You know, like you see people that's different than you, like.
But I don't know if it was like more than like a typical.
No,
you know what I mean?
I got more of a. It seems pretty natural, more than it was like hostile. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't hostile at all. They embraced me out there. Like obviously, there's prejudice because they're not familiar with someone that looks like me.
Yeah.
But there was this one story. Me and my friends, which were my classmates, had actually entered this one store, and I guess the owners of the store started whispering amongst each other or whatnot. So we ended up leaving the store, and so my teacher called the group of us that went into the store with her. Like she called us to the side, and she said, "You want to know what just happened in there?" Because she was familiar with. She spoke Mandarin, whatnot, and she told us that when we were in the store, all the women were whispering amongst themselves that there goes an American superstar with his entourage. So from their perception, like from their point of view, I was walking around with my entourage, which were literally just my classmates.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Just like that experience, even just walking around, people would want to take pictures of me.
Yeah.
You know? And more importantly, take pictures with me, which I thought was also dope. You know what I mean?
So were you taller and bigger than most of the people? Like, are they like smaller?
Yeah, I was pretty tall out there. I was pretty tall. I actually went to this was in Singapore. I went to a club in Singapore, probably one of the craziest nights of my life. You know, I wouldn't call it like harassment, but like women were like grabbing on me. It was just crazy because, you know, people like what they're unfamiliar with, right? You know, so it was just like a surreal experience being in Asia. Every time I went out, people were grabbing on me.
How'd you even get the opportunity?
I was just blessed. So that year in particular, I told myself this was the year that I was getting uncomfortable, right? This was the year I was going to be willing to step out my comfort zone. So I remember I was in the student center having a conversation with one of my friends, Alejandro, and another girl named Christine, and this one girl named Christine, and she told me that, like, Tony, you know, you gotta step out of your comfort zone more. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I just feel like you do. Like, she sort of had this intuition, right? And so I sort of introduced her the idea of, like, me, how I've been pondering the opportunity to leave, you know, to study abroad, to go to China and things like that. And I thought it was pretty interesting that she was saying this to me right when I was pondering this decision. And so, you know, after a long conversation with her, I just decided, like, yeah, this was for me. And so I applied. I got in. You know, historically, men don't really study abroad as much as women. This is just what the statistics show. So I was able to get into the program pretty easily, and then had a great time. Had a wonderful time. Probably one of the most transformative moments of my life. I realized that, like, at the end of the day, we're all the same. You know, regardless of where you go, we're all the same. We all like to eat food. We love to laugh. We love to have a good time. And so just being out there and just being embraced, you know, even though I was met with a lot of like prejudice and things like that, it was all love at the end of the day, right? It was all love. It was all smiles. It was a good time. I felt respected. So I always encourage people that look like me, especially, to just, you know, step out of your comfort zone, take a risk. Because, like, why not? What's the worst that can happen? Right? These countries are safer than the U.S. times 100. Definitely Chicago. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I get the opportunity to travel, I take it.
So, were they pretty bilingual? Like, how did you, like, communicate?
From my memory, I didn't have a hard time out there just speaking English, depending on where I went.
Okay.
Yeah, especially Singapore, because I went from Hong Kong to Macau to Singapore. In Macau, yeah, I didn't have a hard time at all. Hong Kong, no, I was able to navigate, and like I said, there's just like certain similarities between humans that are just like innate. So like communication is not as difficult abroad as people might think it is. But yeah, like I don't know, they spoke like Portuguese and things like that, Cantonese. So yeah, there were some things that I had to look up and translate or whatnot, but now I was able to make it. I was able to make it out there. So if you ever have the opportunity to like leave, go to China, go to Asia, go anywhere, you should do it.
So Asians, they were speaking Portuguese?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are they speaking Portuguese? Wouldn't they all speak like Mandarin or Chinese?
In the area I was in particular, there was a large influence of like Portuguese culture, like historically. So a lot of them still kept on to the language. You know, some of them spoke like Mandarin and things like that as well. So there were a lot of different languages. You'll be surprised how many different languages.
So did they look more like did they look Asian, or did they look more like?
No, they was Asian. They were Asian. So like there was a Portuguese influence, right? So if you go to a dessert shop, let's say I was in a dessert shop in Macau or something like that. One of the most popular Portuguese desserts are egg tarts, right? And so in Macau, it was really popular for you to go to Macau and like get an egg tart, just because that Portuguese influence is still there, right? It's still there's still remnants of that culture that are present in that environment. So yeah, I always think it's super interesting, right? Because you get to see a lot of these historical things just play out when you're there. Like you'll read something in a history book and just see how real it is when you're able to really navigate that environment, right? So recently I was just in the Netherlands like 2 weeks ago, and you know, so the most common language spoken there was Dutch, but I would say the second most common language was almost like it was either English or Spanish, right? It was either English or Spanish. I heard so much Spanish out there in the Netherlands, it was crazy. You know, I was finding people that spoke primarily Spanish, which is also pretty interesting. But I really don't know the historical reason for that.
What took you to the Netherlands?
It's just trying to have some fun.
Yeah.
Have some fun. You know, that's the one thing with me, right? Like I work hard, but when I'm not working hard, I always try to find ways to allocate my time into the things that best serve me, right? So if I'm not working hard, when I'm having fun, I'm gonna be traveling, right? I'm gonna be working out. I'm gonna be playing basketball. You know what I mean? And that's the way I like to optimize my life in a way. I think Naval has a quote about this.
I read I was gonna bring my book in from Naval, the Almanac.
Yeah.
I just read that by Naval. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Naval Ravikant.
Yeah. And then I just started following his podcast too.
Yeah.
Right?
Naval. Like with me, I really optimize my time. I'm either
the Almanac. It was good.
I'm always relaxing, exercising, or working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't spend time just mindlessly consuming bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you take the bullshit out of your life, you probably would have a lot more time to do things that would put you in a better outcome. Give you the life that you wanted. It's pretty simple, right? So, yeah, I just try to eliminate bullshit when I can, when I have the opportunity to. And that's something that I realized a few years ago, like just how much time we spend just doing things, mindlessly. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your relationship with your phone look like? I know you always got to be on your phone.
Yeah.
Because you're
So I run my business through my phone, but outside of that, I don't really care about, people's opinions, social media. I have no issue with like criticism. I know a lot of, influential individuals, Joe Rogan, we listen to a lot, but I completely, disagree. He's like, limit your social. It's like because it's like it can be damaging, and I agree, it can be damaging. But I think you control, your emotions, because you get to decide whether you're going to respond emotionally to something. You're going to decide. You get to decide how something affects you.
Yeah.
Whatever is indirectly or directly affecting you, that's in your hands to decide how you respond and how you react. People, it's just like, oh, you're I'm depressed because I don't have this, that, or my social media, my likes, and I agree there's something wrong with that, but I don't think it's your usage. I think it's your perspective. You know what I mean? Perception is reality. But I think I completely agree with you also in the same note, because there are some people that are making those like they're, instead of you like, and I'm not saying using in like a parasitic form, but more in like a symbiotic form where it's like, be productive with your time. I really like what you're talking about in regard to allocating your time to get a return, opposed to like just having like diminishing returns. And I don't mean financially. I mean like true wealth is an internalized fulfillment. You know what I mean? Of like getting something based off of what you're exerting and like putting out there, get something back from it, And so for me, like I've got like this cliche saying I came up with a long time ago from studying in our business. I immediately got put on the Pareto principle, putting your top 20% of your energy resources 80% of your energy and resources into your top 20% based off prioritization. So it's an investment strategy. It's a personal investment strategy. It's a business. And I was like, instead of me just, putting a majority of my time, energy, and resources into the top 20% of my business and my self-development and my business development, why don't I just do that into every area of my life? So it's like one of the biggest things I call it best bites. You know what I mean? And that's just that for life. One of the biggest things I do is like when I sit down and like order a plate of food, like I immediately identify what I perceive is going to taste the best based off those bites. And that's kind of like how my perspective on life is, like wherever I'm going to put my time, I'm looking to get the largest return, not just on a financial level. And then I put like everything into it, if that makes sense. Like 80%, if not more, is going to go into that specific area that I know is going to generate the return that I want.
Yeah, you have to optimize your productivity. One thing that I found interesting that you said was that you kind of like social media because, the negative effects aren't really, affecting you like that.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, especially us, we're probably very present in certain communities that are big on like Stoicism. Right?
Yeah, really big.
Yeah, everybody's saying they're Stoic, right? But then they're preaching sentiments like that, So you might be a true Stoic, because I still think that, I don't know, social media, I don't really get negative comments on social media.
I get some. I run a sales company.
Yeah.
So 50% of it is that's a scam, pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
I get direct attacks at my baby.
Oh, wow.
Which is my business, not my baby.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
This is my business is my baby.
But yeah, sometimes I think like if I was in a position,
someone's trash talking my baby. That's an ugly baby too.
Right. No, they would have to. We would have a problem, right?
Yeah, you got to be careful checking Chicago people.
No, but that's what I think about often. I'm like, if I was in a position or predicament where I had a lot of unsolicited, negative comments directed towards me, I would literally try to find these people, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily hurt them, but I just want to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like we live in a society where people are just so comfortable hiding behind, screens.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't think people are mean like that. I don't
No.
think people are just like inherently mean.
I call them Xbox warriors, because what I had to experience growing up in the sales company is completely different than the people that I'm hiring now. And I have to explain it for our public relations reasoning is legally you have to obtain a license to sell life insurance. So you can put yourself in bad predicaments and serve jail time for complicating things, with customers and ultimately just not doing your job right. And I remember when I first started selling, it was in person. Everything legally had to be done in person. COVID hit, the industry went essentially virtual. We can do everything over Zoom now. Zoom, FaceTime, whatever. And people will set their appointments over the phone. And sometimes I'll hear agents just like talking with a level of energy and like just tonality that's just like, be careful how you're talking. You would not talk to this person like this in person. You know what I mean? Regardless of how big or small they are, especially if you get beat up. I feel like one thing I think everybody should go through is I think that everyone should get beat up once. I think because you just have a different outlook on life. And that's what I love about martial arts is because you get humbled very quickly. And in most martial arts where it isn't just strength, it's like you walk in and it's the individual with the most, I call it mat hours when it comes to jiu-jitsu. It's just, I love Bruce Lee, and it's not the individual that knows 10,000 kicks. It's that one person that's been showing up for the last 10, 15 years through all adversity, through all trials, through all tribulations, and been practicing kick over kick over kick, and it's the same kick, and they've done it 10,000 times. So now it's like you check yourself before you road rage or you say some mean, tweet or text or comment, because now you run into somebody that's half your size and strangles you on the side of the road or knocks you out. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine checking Henry Cejudo. We're probably almost twice his size. Like, I'm 190. You're 200 pounds, 210 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. Henry Cejudo could fight at 120 pounds or something. Wasn't he like, but he would probably take all three of us and like destroy us. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think that an underlying threat of violence, sort of creates a sense of respect.
Yeah.
Right. If there is no perceived threat of violence,
yeah,
respect is
this Glock on the table gonna make you talk a little different.
Exactly.
Leave the comment now.
Right. And I think that social media, there is no underlying threat of violence. Right. And that's why you have to have a capacity for violence too. Go
ahead.
I think the most admirable thing is for a man to have the capacity of violence, but not necessarily have the impulsivity to always act on it.
A warrior in a garden.
Yeah, a warrior in a garden. Perfect.
Yes.
It's a perfect way to put it. And I feel like that's me. You know what I mean? I feel like I have the capacity for violence, but I don't remember the last time. I can't remember the last time I got violent with someone.
It's foolish. You know what I mean? Unless you put me into a position where I must be violent, and the only way you would do that is it's really just you corner an individual. It's like if you put me where there's no opportunity for, I'm going to escape 9 times out of 10. One, because legally it would be best. It would be the best thing for me to do in my interest.
Yeah, you have a business.
Yeah, exactly. I have a business.
Who gives a fuck if you?
Yeah, like I don't, so I don't need to egotistically prove myself.
Right.
And then secondly as well, it's like me exerting this energy is just simply not worth it. You know what I mean? Because it's not productive. It's like, what's the point of this? Because you're just making an emotional decision. And if anything, if I truly want to humiliate you, it's going to be by leaving the situation humbly, and maybe even using some psychological tactics of making you look silly by appeasing to your tactics with kindness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, let me just do a simple, Jesus take on it and just turn the other cheek and just be like, hey, look, I apologize, and not put the ball in your court. And especially if it's like one thing I really don't like, and we've all been tempted, you know what I mean? It's like, I think of like, going through COVID and trying to eat and drink on a plane and just getting like mass checked, you know what I mean? Like aggressively. And it's like, I would love to, you know what I mean, just throw this lady out the plane right now. But at the same time, I'm not going to make
respectfully.
Respectfully. But it's like, I'm not going to make a fool of myself, where I've seen so many videos and I'm like, we get the point. Nobody wants to wear the mask. We understand it. But like, you don't know like what that like who's enforcing her, like that she has to hold people accountable to put the mask on. Like, she's just trying to feed her family. You know what I mean? So it's like when you start to alternate your perspective, it's one thing, again, like you were saying, like with Stoicism, it's one thing to say it and put it on your Instagram. It's another thing when you get involved in a circumstance where it truly is going to require and test you to see, are you really about this? Like, are you really willing to set down your ego right now and look at this from a different perspective and realize this is just a single mother trying to feed her kids, and she's just doing her job, or a single father, whatever it might be, you know? So it's like, I try my best, and this has been my weakest area of life, is alternating my perspectives on a logical state opposed to emotional. You know what I mean? It's like, and I want to try to hit as many as possible. I want to try to see not just from their shoes and my shoes, but I want to try to find and locate other shoes that I respect. I think you have to look from from them in shoes that you respect, but I think you have to be careful on what you deem as trustworthy and respectable. Like, give people the benefit of the doubt before you make an assumption. That's kind of what I mean by that.
Yeah, I think that's important. I feel like, I don't know, life is basically the battle of not acting on the negative impulses of human nature.
Yeah.
Right? So what you said about stoicism is important, because I think stoicism and mental competence, and even just being able to like understand certain social dynamics, is way more masculine or admirable,
Yep.
than just resorting to violence. That's why I was extremely disappointed with Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was wondering, because we brought up Will Smith Pursuit of Happiness, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wonder what your thoughts are on that. And do you think it was staged? They're actors. I don't know, bro.
I don't think it was staged.
Yeah?
I understand why people think it was staged, but I don't think Will Smith nor Chris Rock would, sort of risk their reputations.
Yeah.
Basically, like, that's what they did. People were mad at Will Smith, and people were also mad at Chris Rock. No one would have a problem with Chris Rock joke about alopecia if, Will Smith didn't react the way that he did.
Yeah.
People would have just laughed it off. So
Yeah.
I felt like there was a great reputational risk that both men took in this situation. So I don't feel like it made sense for them to stage something like this, for the Oscars, right? But I was extremely disappointed with Will Smith. I think that's a man that just acted emotionally, right? And there's severe consequences when you react emotionally. So yeah, I think that was my only analysis of the situation. But I was extremely disappointed. That's Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a man that doesn't understand his worth. That's a man that put in so much work over the years, and so he's being minimized.
Well, how do you feel about
situation?
all the things that are being highlighted? I really want to know. Like, I don't know necessarily if I would say I feel bad for him, because I feel like when we say we feel bad for somebody, we almost start to kind of rob them of the opportunity to endure that adversity,
right,
and grow to the next level of individual. So nobody really feels bad for you. I believe in empathy to an extent. I just think it's a extreme version of sympathy, because as much as I tell you I understand how you feel, I can never truly understand how you feel, in my opinion. But I wonder Will Smith's perspective with everything being brought to light, because now when something blows up like this, they highlight, like when you're that famous, they highlight every like little detail and issue. And so it's like now they're bringing up like the past mistakes where I don't know, they had an open relationship or what exactly that was. I haven't done my research to know like the whole situation.
See,
what are your thoughts?
That's funny that you say that. I haven't done my research on the situation as well. It does seem like they had an open relationship. So, I don't think that, obviously his wife has been manipulating him and also tarnishing his name, making a mockery out of him. But I don't think that, just from what I know and heard about the situation, I don't think it would be fair to, demonize her as a cheater.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't really know too much about the situation. I just think it's an unfortunate situation. And I was highly, like, I don't feel bad for Will, but I'm disappointed with him.
Yes.
Right. And I think disappointment, that's just basically saying that you expected more from him. Right.
Yes.
So
he can make it up to us through I Am Legend 2, in my opinion, if he comes out with that.
Right. I don't want people to feel bad for me. It does nothing. Right. Pity
does
nothing.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything.
Right. Especially when I make a bad decision like that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I was just highly disappointed. It doesn't mean that much. We all react to things emotionally.
Yes.
I know you had periods of time where you did something weren't necessarily proud of, but you're not, you're in the limelight in your own regard, but you're not in the limelight like a Will Smith is. I'm not in the limelight like a Will Smith is. I probably reacted emotionally in a situation that wasn't on camera. I don't do it. I haven't did it in the last few years. I don't really get mad like that, but yeah, he's a man. He makes mistakes, and so I feel like it's important for us to give him the capacity to change, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Grow, improve. He didn't kill anybody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah, no, I completely agree. So I think one thing that like threw me off, and I was like, "Is this real, or is it like Photoshop?" Is like, I guess it was like some letter that the daughter or something wrote. It was like, "Tupac, please come back."
Yeah.
And I was like, they gotta stop messing with my man. bro. Like this is too much.
No, definitely. When I saw that, I guess Willow had wrote a letter to Tupac.
Like for real?
A man that was real. I think Kodak said he was gonna whoop her. He was so bad. He would give her a whooping or something like that, which I thought was pretty hilarious. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, this family, they're on some other shit.
Other,
you know what I mean?
other shit, bro.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try not to judge. That's not my family. That wouldn't be my family. But yeah, they have a really interesting social dynamic. But they're in a unique situation, right? They're rich. Ultra wealthy. They've been in the limelight. They've grown up in the entertainment industry. Will Smith has been there all his life. Jada Pinkett Smith has been there all her life as well. So, we're basically we're consuming it and we're seeing their life on the forefront. So it's easy to judge, but there's probably some things going on in my life that people would probably
just
find
jump
weird.
on.
Yeah, so I try not to judge, but yeah. It's an unfortunate situation because you pedestalize people. You pedestalize celebrities when you're just like watching them.
Yeah. Who's your favorite celebrity then?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. I would say Kanye.
Love Kanye.
Yeah, I love Kanye. I love everything he stands for. I love his music.
I just like how creative he is.
He's great. He's a risk taker. Like
absolutely a risk taker.
I just love someone that's living life on their own terms. Anybody, any celebrity that's living life on their own terms, preaching independent thought, living a unique lifestyle, navigating life in the way that they want to. I'm inspired by them.
Yeah.
Even if I wouldn't do it the same way, even if I don't agree with every opinion that they have, it's just admirable, And he's done it through music. He's done it through fashion.
Have you gone to any of his performances?
No, I've actually never seen Kanye live.
Damn.
Which is disappointing.
Neither have I.
But
how do people go to those Sunday services? Sometimes he be on his Instagram and I'm like, who are all these people in these black robes and how'd they get invited?
Yeah, so I actually had a friend that played played the cello actually at one of his Sunday services.
Does he talk to all the performers?
I don't think he really talked to him that much, but
he just show up, just drops through the ceiling, starts singing.
Yeah, but he was in proximity to.
He
Kanye.
loves Kanye.
You love Kanye? Yeah, Kanye is the GOAT, man. What's your favorite Kanye album?
I like The Life of Pablo.
The Life of Pablo is great.
What's your favorite song?
Maybe Saint Pablo.
Yeah, I love everything from Jesus to.
I'm curious on what my favorite song is.
Donda to Jesus is King. Like, I love everything Kanye. I feel like he conveys and captures, the complexity of, the human experience. He's not just putting on a performance. He's just authentically himself, and he's giving you every aspect.
And he's so real. He's so, he's
unfazed.
Literally.
I respect people that are not afraid to say what they want to say, not afraid to take risks. So,
down and out.
I love Kanye. Who are some other celebrities that I'm big on? I don't know. I love Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, I saw that. He's Virgin, right?
He's a virgin?
No, is that Virgin Company?
Russell Brand. Oh, I know who you're thinking about.
I'm thinking of the other dude with the blonde hair.
Yeah,
Russell's the British guy, right?
The British guy. Yeah.
Who's the dude that owns
the CEO? I know who you're talking about. The CEO. Virgin.
CEO Virgin Airlines. That's a good place. No, that's wrong.
No, I know who you're talking about. He's like a businessman, right? Virgin.
Yeah. Richard Branson. I don't know. I
know who you were talking about though.
So I was like, I'm reading it. It was like, it sounded familiar because it was. Now what you put down with Russell Brand is he more philanthropic?
Yeah, he's philanthropic. I just have a lot of respect for him. Some of the things he says I really resonate with. He's like I think it was like a social media personality. He was on like reality TV or something.
So what did you like the most about him again?
I just love him.
What about him?
I just love like how philanthropic he is. Just like a lot of the stuff that he says about like mindfulness. I love his accent. I just love everything.
Is he kind of like Jim Carrey with the mindfulness?
No, I actually love Jim Carrey too.
Yeah.
I love how Jim Carrey is able to tell stories just through his, face.
Yes.
But I love people like Russell Brand. Like we talked about it before. Joe Rogan. like Joe Rogan a lot.
Yeah.
Like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. You know, I don't know. I love anybody that's inspiring me to become my best self.
Now, I was reading through, I think it was your LinkedIn or something, and I really liked, it was some article or LinkedIn, and it was like, somebody made a recommendation, I think it was a professor, for you not to get a degree or like not to master the degree, but to master a concept or something. What was the saying?
Oh, I actually wrote that article.
Yeah, what did you say there? Master? It was
Oh.
really good.
Yeah, I said.
I can look it back up.
Yeah, I said, don't go to school to study for a job. Study a concept. You know.
Yeah.
You don't want to study a subject. You want to study a concept, something broad, that really gives you the optionality to pursue.
How
what
would
you
people
want.
do that, if, like for people listening, or you know what I mean? Because I give people two different perspectives. I give them
Right.
the perspective of no education and becoming financially and, you know,
Right.
just successful in life. But I also will bring on individuals, like I just had a chemist on, and he was DePaul, right, Aiden? I think he's DePaul. And he's going to work on his tenure through DePaul.
Right.
But giving people those perspectives of, you know, where you absolutely need an education to pursue your success in life, and then giving them, you know, what it would look like without. And then there's hybrid, where it's like, you know, you dabble in both, where it's like you've got the education where it's taking you to different places and it's built different relationships and giving you different tools that I don't have. But then you also dabble in the world that I've grown up in, which is, you know, entrepreneurship. You know, so it's like since I was 18, I've been 100% commission.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I think it's more awesome because you're a hybrid. You know, I was too dumb to do school.
Nah.
It was lack of passion. I just like to say
But
too dumb.
school is expensive.
Yes.
You know, most
Yep.
people at this age have a negative net worth.
Yeah,
And so-
and I was seeing, and I loved how you talked on the 1.7 trillion, I think it is, in student loan debt. So it's like, it's cool that you're honest on both, because I try to bring up both, where it's like, I grew up in a demographic where my mom worked 3 jobs, and that was still not enough to keep us off of government assistance. Like, we had food stamps. That was the only thing she would accept, but she sacrificed essentially being there with us. So it's like, I never really saw my mom, you know. It's like, and you know, very sadly, I'm actually going to a funeral Sunday, but the woman that raised me basically just passed away, like my second mom.
Oh,
and
damn. Sorry about that.
and it was just sudden. It was just random. So it's a lot, you know what I mean? But people don't realize that's just life. That's adversity, kings. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you gotta be ready to keep going, because so many people depend on you. And really, the most important person that depends on you is the person you see in the mirror, you know, when you wake up.
Exactly.
And you go to bed. It's like, I got to keep going. I got people to pour into. I got to be there for my best friend. And
Yeah, I tell people this all the time, man. You can work hard, you can be educated, but you can still end up broke,
yeah,
right? I
Yeah.
feel like the greatest indicator of financial success is, you know, hustle. You
Yeah.
just got to keep going.
I always tell people that it's just a stubbornness. It's a combination of stubbornness and service. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think it's 2 S's. I think the service is just, you know, it's going to be fueled by your ability to love and have humility. And I think the stubbornness is just fueled by, you know, just a relentlessness of like that pursuit of happiness. Like, no matter what's told to me and no matter what
Right.
occurs in my life, I'm going to get up and I'm going to chip away. Just another day.
Exactly.
Just another day.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that in sales. You might not close a deal, you know what I mean? But you
80% of our week is not closing a deal.
Exactly, but you still have to keep going.
Yes.
You still have to keep going. And that's the thing about me. I took L's. Adversity is probably one of the best things that you can deal with, right?
Oh, it's so good.
I was
You
in a
don't
situ-
grow in victories.
Nah, I've actually learned the most from losing.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So during the pandemic, I had got really big into option trading.
I wanted to get into that. That's what I
Yeah.
was pulling up in my notes.
Yeah, so I got really big into option trading.
What is that?
So basically, an option trading they're like financial contracts that enable you to buy a stock at a certain price, right?
So like a piece of a stock?
Yeah, well, yeah. So basically, you can buy an option contract. Let's say you buy a call option for $36 strike price call option for a particular stock. You're basically saying that you think the stock is going to be this price
Yeah.
by the time your contract expires.
Yes.
Right? So I had got big into option trading. It's super volatile, right? You can either lose everything or make a lot of money, you know, or
So it's more like a gamble. Unlike you're trying to predict whether it goes up or down. If it goes up, you get the difference.
Yeah, so the more I got into gambling, I realized option trading and gambling are literally the same thing.
Okay.
Right.
I was wondering.
They're literally the same thing in a way, but obviously there are more, I don't know, but nowadays, there's so much data and analytics with sports betting that it's almost very similar to like a stock, trading stocks or trading options.
I don't think stocks is gambling.
Not buying stocks.
Okay.
Buying
okay,
stocks.
but even the options doesn't sound too, because one of the biggest investment, strategies that I got from one of our largest investors, our third largest investor, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, he analyzes a lot of his investments and the individuals that come to work with him based off of their character. So one of the questions he'll ask, like an interview question, whether it be for doing research on studying a CEO and really just kind of like the management structure of a company is, would I trust these people around my family? And that's the same deal with his hiring process as well. Like the close-knit individuals is, would I trust these people to handle my personal finances, or would I trust them around my children and my family? And I think that's a very simple perspective, but also really good because, if your, it's hard to say like your moral and character code is better than someone else's, but it's like tested and proven. And then the individuals you're investing into are tested and proven, and they align with your beliefs. Maybe not overnight, but over time, it's going to work out because your values align.
Right.
And your values are working thus far in life.
No, that's a good point. Like historically, option trading was used to hedge your place or hedge a position within the market. But I got into option trading early in the pandemic. I was familiar with it before. I used to study it because I had a friend who I realized, like, you ever just look at your friends, you're all in high school or whatnot, and there's just like somebody doing better than everybody else. So this guy, he always just had thousands of dollars, right? It's like one Indian kid.
I'm trying to think, and I'm like, no one.
But he was like the only guy in high school that used to have money. You know what I mean? Like,
that was my best friend growing up. He worked hard, but his family did really well.
Yeah, but he was the only person I knew that had like a personal trainer. He was able to drop 2 racks here, drop 3 racks
the
here.
population in Chicago is also 10 million, so 10 times like the diversification in the area.
Right. So one day me and him had met up, went to Starbucks.
Don't get too far from the mic.
Oh, my fault. We had met up.
They're really good. Like I feel like it don't matter too bad because Rogan always be like, make sure you're in the mic. But I'm like, listen to mine. I'm like, ours are pretty loud because I can hear, like, however I can hear you is how it'll sound on there. So they pick up pretty good.
Yeah, no, these are really good mics.
Yeah, they're like loud. I'm like, we're like too loud.
But I studied options with one of my friends. We had met up at Starbucks one day, probably studied options for like 2-3 hours. Didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
Pandemic happened, stocks were low.
Yeah.
And I saw it as a great time to, get into option trading again. Right. So I had done some research, and it was a really interesting time because, like, while stocks are low, there was also this public health crisis going on. Right.
Yeah.
COVID. So I knew my strategy for trading stocks. I had some money saved up from a business that I was running, as well as just like.
And is that the business you set up before? I'm looking here. It said starting business and first customer being youngest elected Muslim official in U.S.
Yeah, that was the business. I had some money from that business. I also had some money from like a few other investments and things. So.
What were those businesses?
Just like shoes, like selling shoes and things like
that.
Okay,
I love shoes. I'd be trying to get a pair.
Yeah, just
a week. My favorite, I got to Adapt 11s. They're the ones that you press a button.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Those are sick.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, I'm more of a Yeezy guy. Favorite shoe of all time.
I don't like the way they look on me.
Damn.
I like the 750s.
Yeah.
Or the October Yeezys.
October Yeezy is one of my favorite shoes of all.
Do you got a pair?
750. No.
Okay.
I wish. Soon. Coming soon.
Right? I like whenever I can justify just dropping 30, I'm like, all right, it's time to do it.
Definitely. So, I was talking about like the pandemic. We're in this public health crisis and stocks were low. So, sort of my trading strategy at the time was just to find the stock that was going to be the company that was going to be responsible for
vaccines.
Yeah, vaccines.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was researching or whatnot. The typical. Big pharma companies came up, Pfizer, Moderna. I actually could have made a lot of money on Moderna, but I didn't. Novavax, a few other companies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I was just on Stock Twits one day. You familiar with Stock Twits?
No,
It's like
stocks is so foreign to me. The only thing I know about stocks is like the people that DM me about Forex, and I'm like, what is this?
Forex is trash. Forex is trash.
I'm like, what's wrong with American stock? And I don't even know like.
Do you invest in index funds?
I don't do anything except put all the money back into this business.
Oh, that's admirable though.
Yeah, I literally don't know anything. That's why I love to get different people on the like. I talk to Landon about NFTs.
Yeah.
Because I want to just continue to educate myself. And my philosophy on this, just real quick, I want you to get back into this, is just I want to find people like you and Landon that are pretty like intelligent in that area, especially in comparison to me. If we were to just relate it to martial art, it's like I feel like a white belt, and you're like a black belt. Because even if you got 5 years of experience, that's 5 years that I don't want to invest into learning. That I could just give you the money and be like, hey, here's an extra 10 grand I want to give you monthly because you know so much about stock options. Or like I love staying in touch with Landon because he's into that like real big stuff that I like with the venture capitalism of he's going out and like seeing what's going to change the world over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Right. No,
and that's where it's like, hey, look, dude, I'm going to give you 10 grand. Just
do something with it.
Do something.
Get in on those VC deals.
But yeah, no, I don't know anything about stocks. I know Wolf of Wall Street, and I know the Forexers that DM me.
So
please stop DMing me.
There was this company. So I researched the companies like Pfizer, Novavax, Moderna.
Yeah.
Then I came across this company called Sorrento Therapeutics.
Okay.
The ticker is SRNE. So they weren't necessarily working.
What was that? What was?
They weren't working on the vaccine. They were working on therapeutics.
Okay.
Because I felt like the vaccine was too controversial.
Yeah.
So my thinking behind it was that, I would invest in a company that was going to be responsible for therapeutics. You know what I mean? Which would, they're a lot less controversial than the vaccine was, and people would want to take this because COVID, obviously a very real thing that was going on.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of skepticism regarding the vaccine, so I didn't want to invest in anything vaccine related.
Yes.
But my brother did, and he actually made a lot of money with Moderna. So, I had this money saved up. I bought some shares of the stock called Sorrento Therapeutics, ticker symbol SRNE. Bought a bunch of shares or whatnot. And so I figured, wait, this might be a really good time to, because I was into like paper trading.
Yeah.
Which just gives you the opportunity to like trade with no risk.
Yeah.
Basically just acclimating yourself to like investing in the market. So I figured this was the best time for me to start option trading, right? The stock was so low, so undervalued. Nobody had its moat. Nobody can compete with this company with what they had going on. I was looking at the clinical trials data. I was looking at the CEO.
We must have hired an elephant. Dude. What the fuck?
I was looking at the CEO's like son's page. I was just doing all type of research. I found it out. Like I found out everything about this man. I found out everything about the company. I was piecing different things together. I was in this little group chat or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I had bought, let's say I had bought some, I bought like maybe like 50 contracts.
Yeah.
For a strike price of $10. So that's basically me saying 50 call contracts, right? So that's basically me saying that this stock will hit this price by this date, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So the stock can be like $2. And let's say I have a November 10th with a strike price of $20 call option.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm thinking the stock will go up to that price by this date.
Yep.
That's basically what I'm betting, right? So at the time, the stock was like $3-4, and I had bought a bunch of strike price contracts, and they were super cheap, right? Because $10 is double what the strike price was at the time, right? There's this whole like algorithm that sort of goes in the way like the contracts are priced. So I bought a bunch of contracts for $10 at a strike price. Well, at a strike price of $10 in November. And the stock happened to go from like 4 to like 20, which would have been, times 5, even if I just bought regular shares. So my shares are up significantly. And then like the contracts I bought had exploded, like they were up like 10,000%, 20,000%. Something crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a lot. So that was the first time I actually traded options. I made like over 100 grand.
So did you do it again or?
No. So this is why we brought it up, right? We brought it up because we were like, we learned the most from our losses opposed to our wins. Imagine just making like 100 grand on your phone and like, it was like 3 weeks. And you didn't start, like in 3 weeks, just off your phone, you're just looking at your account, you're checking it every day. Boom, you make like 120 grand, like by doing nothing. Just clicking some buttons on Robinhood and your account explodes. It sort of disrupts the way you view money, right?
He's hiring.
Yeah, it fucks up the way that you view money, right? So I tried to do it again. Well, first off, the contracts, they almost expired worthless. So I lost a lot of the money because I didn't sell it fast enough.
Yeah.
So
do you have to like literally be by your phone 24/7 seeing when it hits like closest to your predicted number?
No. So I don't know. Like the value is so volatile, right? Option contracts are so volatile. Everything goes into the price of the way option contracts are valued. So even things like time, right? Because I was so ahead of it, went up like it times 5 in like a few weeks. So I was still about 3-4 months ahead of when the contract would have ended, right? So like if time just went on in the stock just stayed at that same price, the contracts would have been worth less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was because the bet was so good and I hit it so fast. It wasn't a bet. It was like a calculated risk that I took. Was it hit that strike price? Well, exceeded that stock price so early that the contracts were worth so much.
So why wouldn't people just kind of try to be as proactive as possible with identifying like global and like national problems and then just invest in their counterpart solution-based companies? Like I keep seeing articles about food shortages. Why wouldn't I just go get options with like, I just look up top 3 companies that, you know, supply global or national food. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let me go do an option on Coca-Cola or something and put it's going to go up. You know, does that make sense?
Right. Well,
Because what it sounds like is you identified a major problem and then you just found the counterpart, like a solution-based oriented type of company. And then it's like, let me invest into this company in some way, shape, or form.
yeah, well, people do.
Sounds like an easy way to just because there's always problems. Let me just go do this.
Yeah, no, that's what people do. Like there was a Twitter page dedicated towards Nancy Pelosi's stock.
I heard that.
Yeah, like
And
her
then
stock
she like
portfolio.
demanded that it like go down. They never got it down, right? He had like some hidden IP address or something.
I don't know, but she was making so much money. A lot of these politicians made so
much money
during the pandemic. The thing is, they know things before we know, so they obviously have the opportunities to invest. But option trading,
Could you imagine? Like,
it's really risky.
great news, Deborah. There's a fucking virus coming. Invest in Pfizer.
Oh my god! But that's the thing. Pfizer has a lot of outstanding shares, so it's not as volatile. Like the way stocks are priced is just so complex that like a stock like Pfizer, they can make this much money, but a stock like Sorrento
And I'm still like
Therapeutics-
so simple minded that I'm just like still wrapping my mind around like what the hell's a stock? Because I'm like, is a stock created when a company goes public?
Yeah, so they would have a stock, yes.
So why like I guess what's the difference between a private and a public company?
So the public company is publicly traded. Like you can get money from investors.
So basically you just open up your company when you go, like, is there a certain dollar amount you need to say, hey, I want to go public, and then every stock is just a representation of like a percentage of the company, like its value?
Well, it depends on the company, right? So right now I work at a company. It was actually acquired by Microsoft.
Wow.
Pretty big company, social media platform.
Microsoft?
No,
I was gonna say yes.
No, it was acquired by Microsoft.
Okay.
The company that I work at right now.
Okay, I was like, yeah, Microsoft is a big company.
Yeah, but there's no stock for it, right? There's no stock for the company. Like you can't invest in the company that I currently work at.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
Can you invest in Microsoft?
Yeah, you would have to
Okay.
invest in Microsoft.
Okay.
Like, I'm able to get Microsoft.
Are you like a
stock.
subsidiary of Microsoft then?
Yeah.
American Income Life, which I'm a franchise owner
Yeah.
of American Income Life Insurance Company, is a subsidiary of Globe Life. And then if you watch any baseball, it's Globe Life Field, Texas Rangers. So that's our
Yeah.
parent company.
Okay, so like you would get equity in
At Globe Life, GL.
Globe Life, GL, right?
Yep.
So
I'm pulling my stock up. I want to show you our stock. To see.
so I get
Is it
equity
good?
from Microsoft, right? So, yeah, I get. That's how.
I guess I invest in stocks because I put a large portion of my paycheck back into Globe Life. They let us opt into that.
Yeah,
Well,
you're probably a part of the employee stock purchasing program that enables you to buy the stock at a cheaper price than
we're red
it's
today.
actually trading on the market for.
For real?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because a lot of guys, they say they do build up a large amount of wealth, just in buying into our stock.
No, so the stock market is the easiest way to build wealth.
Yeah. Just through that compound interest.
Yeah, historically, it's the easiest way. You don't necessarily have to do anything. The market is shown to do like basically 10% every year.
Yeah. I did a really cool post the other day, and it you'd have to go through and correct it. But
Wow.
I got really curious on
The stock has been doing really well over
the long term.
the long term.
Yep.
which
So we
is
average
the
about
most-
10% growth a year, and then if you, the only thing that I'm financially literate on is because you just need a life insurance license. That's all I have.
Right.
I have a health license too, but is the financial factor rule 72. So I used to
Right.
use that in my sales pitches, and that's just you take your interest rate, that, right, with the
Yeah.
72 and all that. And so it's like I know every 7 or 8 years our company should double just off of our average 10% growth.
Right.
So it makes me feel good, you know what I mean? Just because I
Right.
feel like that's a good place to be in between that 8 to 12%. And then I was doing research because I was curious of like what's a parent company, what's a holding company. 'Cause
Right.
I wanted to tie the two together and have more credibility when I'm trying to hire people because I want to start hiring more qualified people. And I'm doing research, and it's like, okay, so we're a subsidiary of Globe Life. We're the largest subsidiary of Globe Life, so we've got the most impact, I would imagine, then on the value of the company. And then our largest investors in Globe Life, our 3 largest investors, which is, I know it's not that hard when they have $10 trillion in assets, but it's BlackRock Company, the Vanguard Group, and then Berkshire Hathaway. And I was like, it was cool though because the first two are like, I think BlackRock's the biggest asset manager company in the world with $10 trillion in assets, and it was founded in the 80s. So I'm kind of curious on like, how did they become the biggest? And I started reading, and I was like, I read one article, I was just briefing through. It was like they hire a lot of like retired political officials, and I was like, wait, so these people leave these political positions, making all this money just to go be a part of this $10 trillion company?
Yeah, there's probably an incentive to it.
I'm
Everything is about
like
money,
so
man.
curious. I was like, I don't know if I like this company investing into us.
Right. Nah, that's awesome. Yeah, everything is about money. That's what I'm starting to realize as I get older. Like, I don't know, people don't do things if there's not an economic.
That's what I
or
tell people, is like,
financial incentive.
Yeah, like, because I was reading a statistic and it was like 80% of people are influenced by money. I was like, this is a lie. 100% of people are.
100%.
There is because maybe they're counting out like the wealthy that just won't do something. It's like, that's not true. There's a certain price for every individual. There's a certain price where people can be somewhat bought or persuaded.
Yeah, I like how you have that Drake quote on it captions one of your pictures.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
people
one?
with no money act like money isn't everything.
Yes.
Like, people with no money, they wake up every day, go to their job that they probably hate,
Yeah.
work 40 hours a week, maybe more, and then act like money isn't important. Money is important.
Yep.
It's not everything, but it's important, right?
Yep.
It's not valuable, but it's important.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think people need to distinguish the two, just so they can start developing a more healthy relationship with money.
Yeah.
Right? I'm big on money. I allocate about 50% of my paycheck directly towards, assets. My company offers a 50% 401k match.
That's
So
dope. That's insane.
an automatic 50%
I don't think I've
return.
ever heard one that high.
It's crazy. So I'm already building wealth through it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I might have $500,000 just in my 401k in like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is pretty crazy. And
Yeah,
then
it
I
is.
also take advantage of the ESPP plan because I maxed out the 401k. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to do that every year. And then I have the ESPP where I'm able to purchase Microsoft stock cheaper than what it's actually trading on the market.
Wow.
So all my money goes into that. And so the money that I make from side endeavors.
Who eats the difference when with that employee program where you get it cheaper than it's trading? Like, who eats that negative difference? The company?
I don't know. Probably.
Like, how are they able to afford? Because nothing's ever free. So it's like,
Yeah, nothing's ever free. They're probably just making a shit ton of money.
yeah, yeah,
They're probably just making so much money that they're able to do it.
yeah.
So
It's a
like,
good sign.
Yeah, and it's an easy way. I always tell people, give yourself a raise through, 401k match, as well as ESPP, right?
What does that stand for?
ESPP?
Yeah.
Employee Stock Purchasing Program.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're able to give yourself a 15% raise,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just through, clicking a few buttons, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that any way that I can. So a large percentage of my money is allocated to like investing for the long term. And then like I probably invest 75% of my money because like the other 25% I'm doing.
And is it more of a long-term play, or do you take more like with the options? Do you do any short-term risk to like get it like I literally take pretty much every dollar and put it all back into this. You know what I mean? Like people see like I posted my gross 1099 is gross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I posted all this money on TikTok. It, went viral a little bit, but people don't realize I put every single dollar back into this business.
Why is money important to you?
I would say there's multiple levels of importance in regard to what money, means to me and the level of importance. But ultimately, it's the freedom. If I were to boil it down, I don't look at money as money. I just look at it as a tool to every dollar corresponds with a level of freedom of each one equals, not having to answer to somebody at some time, at some place. So, you get the direct opposite. You can do what you want with who you want when you want. And I want to create that for my mom and my sister and give back to, what we didn't have. So it's like,
right.
I'm just taking these tools and multiplying them over and over and over again. And I know, $1 million is not going to give me everything that I want and what I want to do for them too. You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to take hundreds of millions. And then really even more important to me is my impact and my legacy of like, I want to be number one. All I care about is winning. So like I look at myself as a sales company, and I look at Jeff Bezos and Amazon and Elon Musk and Tesla as a sales company, and they're just number one and number two.
Right. Everything is sales.
So it's like I want to be number one, and I'm going to do it through life insurance. So it's like I'm not going to stop, or I'm going to die trying to be number one in the world through what I'm good at, what I'm familiar with, and it'll be the life insurance industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I don't think I ever want to retire.
No.
I just want the option too.
Yes.
So like what you said about freedom is basically you just want options.
Yes.
You want
just options
to tell the man like, yo, go F yourself. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to take shit from anyone. I don't know if I can curse.
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, we swear all the time.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to have to take anything from anyone. You want to be able to cancel a flight.
Yes.
Get in a car accident, be able to just pay to fix it up or whatnot. That's number one for me. Like options, which corresponds with like freedom, and then number two is to give it to my offspring. Right?
Yes.
Give it to my children.
Yeah.
So that's why I invest in the long term. The money that I put in for my 401k, as well as my employee stock purchasing program, that's all dedicated towards, like my children.
Yeah.
Like when I get older and things like that.
I think that's one of the biggest reasons a lot of people come work here as well, is because life insurance is residually based. Like a good percentage is residually based. So, one sec. How that works, I might have another. How that works, though, is a percentage. Obviously, we get a commission, but a percentage of our sales go to residual income then. So how it works is, you sign up a life insurance, you get paid the next week, but then they keep paying for the rest of their life, and you get a paycheck every month.
Right.
You know what I mean? So as long as the policy's in existence, and people don't replace life insurance, because life insurance is based off your age and your health, not your wealth.
Right.
So you don't get to decide how much you buy with how much money you have.
Right.
You decide how much you buy with how healthy are you and how, essentially young are you as well. So your age and your health.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's what I really like. So it's like, my residuals just off doing this for 5 years are about $3-4 grand a month, which isn't, that much. But my partners are like insane, like over like 400,000 a month. You know what I mean?
400,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
just passive income. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like that's where you're kind of like at a level, where you just don't have to answer to
anybody. And people don't know things like this exist.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. But I see that one light-skinned dude that's always talking about life insurance.
Yeah.
And just financial stuff. He goes viral a lot. He's got, I don't know, he's got the crazy brown eyes.
Yeah. He got
always
crazy hair too?
I don't think he got like a fro.
Oh,
I feel like he got a fro and a beard or something.
I've probably seen him. I see
he may
all
have
these
long hair.
influencers, financial influencers.
Yeah, everybody's on that now.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
is.
I love it. I know it's real with you because I came into this office and it just felt like money.
Yeah.
You know, everybody felt
Yeah,
like
you
got
gotta
to
do a different
money.
vibe.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I love that. I love that out here. So yeah.
Let's see what's next on here. This is good. I wanted to get into this. Music origins. When did music start? Middle school, 2013 is what I was reading.
Yeah. That started in middle school. So I told you, like, my parents always gave me the capacity to just try different things. My mom was real open-minded. My dad didn't really care what I did. So
Yeah.
I just had a lot of free time to just, like, explore and fulfill that innate creativity that was inside me. So when I was like 13, 14, I actually hit up one of my friends. His name is Aubrey Dupaton. And I was like, yo, you want to make music together? Because we were always coming to school, rapping verses. I'm a pretty big A$AP Rocky fan.
Yep.
I think that was like the first person that made me want to rap. This is when he was like first coming out. He was dropping Long Live A$AP, Live Love A$AP, which are like some of his earliest projects. And we would come to school and just like rap, recite the verses. And I was like, bro, let's just try this out. And it sort of worked out. I spent like a year just studying before I actually went to the studio and put out a song. So I was just studying people like Kendrick, Common, Kanye. And I was just learning how to rap, right? I had to learn how to rap before I learned how to make music. So yeah, I just...
And it's Aubrey's your partner, right?
Yeah, that's the person I
like.
music with.
I like. He likes the Eagles. It's one of his.
Yeah,
it's one of his bands or whatever he likes.
Yeah.
And then you like, was it Marvin Gaye?
Yeah, I love Marvin Gaye. I'm a big old school.
Ain't No Mountain High Enough. That's from one of my favorite movies. Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Denzel's one of the coldest actors out there.
Yeah, I have a lot of different influences. I'm inspired by everybody, honestly. Like,
I got so much diversification because I grew up like black country. You know what I mean? So it's like my dad's black, my mom's white. We grew up in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But my dad was a farmer. You know what I mean?
I
so like
that.
a cowboy.
Yeah.
And so it's like I was raised in a barn, for the period of time my dad, was in my life. And, there were some, from the outside world, some negative perspective on it because I was immediately beat. You know what I mean? Like I remember immediately, like it was definitely a very hard childhood. But at the same time, like my drive for winning comes from the very high expectations my dad, had for me. Like,
would you trade those beatings in for anything?
No, I honestly feel like they created this psychotic mindset that I have today. Of like, I'm just willing to go.
So are you happy? Are you grateful for them?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? I think, as a kid, I was confused because I didn't know if he didn't like love me. But now I look back and just realize, even though, there's something wrong in his mind, I feel like it, I don't know if it's like just my overcoming of it and like self-therapeutic attempt of just like addressing, things we internalize as kids is like, I feel like it was really his expectations and how he was able to communicate his love from base. I feel like it's almost like saying all pit bulls are bad. You know what I mean? Like if we just, or like all dog, like just certain dog types are bad. It's like, I feel like your environment, like we talked in the beginning and meritocracy and everything, I feel like your environment and then what's influencing and pouring into you determines, your upbringing, and that has a complete effect on how you then live the remainder of your life. So it's like, then I got to look at his parents, and then I got to ask, who. It's just a simple question of who hurt you and who hurt you, because like my dad was an alcoholic and just abusive, so I would watch him beat me, my mom, and everybody. But like, it was a lot. It was excessive. Yeah. But aside from like him beat my mom and stuff and just everything, I wouldn't trade anything else though. I look back and I'm just like,
yeah, they made you who you are.
Yeah. So it's like
the good and bad. Everything is important.
Even growing up and experiences of being robbed or being beat up or, just hard things. And nothing has really ever been that hard because my dad just made us push so hard or pushed us so hard or beat us so hard where it's like, there's nothing life can really like throw at me where it's like, I've just got this relentless heart. Like, that's why I love jiu-jitsu. It's like, I know I'm not going to beat people just based off sheer skill because there's always somebody better than you, but I'm going to just keep coming back to you humbly and just say again. And there's something about an individual that just keeps saying again that that's tiring to fight. Even if you got a big heart, I think that's where I'm successful. Is just like, I'll literally go until I die.
Yeah, my dad was harsh too, man. So
Yeah.
I feel you. Even though my dad was a great dad,
Yeah.
he was harsh.
Yeah.
You know, he would tell me like, "You're not good enough."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
High expectation. Well, that might be the culture though too. I feel like
Yeah,
because the Kenyan we had here was really harsh, but like I loved studying his culture, and I say culture just very generally and just how he communicated. I would ask him to tell me about, because Chicago's got a restaurant for every like freaking continent and country. So I was like, let's try Kenyan food. Tell me about it, because I wanted to, instead of me like correcting him or criticizing him in the office, I wanted to understand him before I was able to lead him.
Right.
I feel like that's very key. I feel like we just try to like, even to the extent of like generalizing people of like,
we pathologize everything.
Yeah, it's like, let me understand this person first. You know what I mean? It's like religiously and just physically and emotionally, and just especially their upbringing of like, how were they raised? Maybe they absolutely should not be publicly. I don't think anybody should be publicly criticized. Right. You know what I mean? Or even like constructive criticism. You got to be very careful. And that was one thing I absolutely was horrible at as a young leader. It was just like, I would just call you out and be like, yo, we got to get better. You suck at this right now. Right. And I drove a good amount of people away doing that. Yeah.
Compassionate leadership is everything.
Yes.
I feel like without my dad's harshness, I wouldn't be the person that I am today.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in the gym, right? And I don't want to like get another set in.
Yeah.
Or I'm too lazy to finish that one last rep. Yep. I'm at like 9. I want to get to 10. And I just have to tell myself like, yo, bro, like you're a hoe. Like, like you're soft.
Get it up.
Like, get it up. You know what I mean? Yep. Like,
but you found a healthy balance. Like, you're not demoralizing. I can tell in your energy and your attitude that you're not like some people take it way too far, right? And they won't shut that thing off, and it gets really dangerous.
Nah. You have to have that balance, right? That's important. Balance is everything. That's why I like, even though I'm pretty harsh on myself, I still like understand, and I'm still grateful of my little wins, and I look at myself and I'm happy about a lot of the things that I see. I'm very proud of some of the things that I've accomplished. But I know I just got to keep going. It's so easy to get complacent in this world. It's extremely easy to get complacent in this world, because at a certain point in time, what you want now is what you used to desire badly, right? So it's easy to feel like you made it because you didn't make it for a certain version of who you were in the past, right?
Yeah.
But as you keep climbing the ladder, you still continue to look at different heights that you continually want to reach, and there's new feats and accomplishments that you want to do and accomplish. So, yeah.
It's a lot. Now, I was reading through this, and as we start to wind down here, but outside of the Yeezy brand, is there anything else you like in the clothing kind of area? Because it says here, like, just out of the clothing, shoes and fashion.
So I'm really big into Yeezys. I mentioned that before. Right now, this is just like Alexander Wang. I like to describe my style.
That's not just Adidas?
Nah, this is Alexander Wang.
What's that?
It's a brand.
Yeah?
It's a designer.
I was this is a dope shirt.
Yeah.
Like, this must be like a special Adidas shirt. I was like looking at it.
Nah. This is a collab with Adidas.
Okay.
Him and Adidas, Alexander Wang did a collaboration. I actually saw Playboy Cardi rocking it first. So, yeah, I was just in love with like the velour texture.
Yeah.
I love Yeezy. Love Alexander Wang.
Do you like Off-White?
No, I'm not really into Off-White.
Did you like Virgil as a person?
Yeah, I love him. He's from Chicago.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I love Virgil as a person. Probably my favorite shoes of all time is the Jordan 1.
Off-White.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Off-White Jordans.
Yeah, I love the Jordan 1.
Those are like 10, 15 grand, right?
Yeah.
They're expensive shoe.
Yeah, there's a lot of different people I like and look up. I look up to like a lot of like local designers. I like this dude named Jorge Oliver.
How big is he? Would he get on this?
I don't know. Maybe. He probably might have like 1,000 followers on Instagram. So
you don't think he would get on?
No, but he's low key. Low key. He's like a real low key guy. I don't know if he does interviews and things like that. But I feel like there's just so much talent.
See, that's what I want to get out because like a lot of big people obviously get on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah,
I want to get with the guys like me. You know what I mean?
Right.
The little I want to just have our own little group. While we're small, just document it and get exposure. I feel like this is like our virtual. I want this to be like our virtual networking community. I think Landon does a great job of that. Those are still pretty big names though. Like I'm not. He just had like the mayor of Miami. It's like I can't just be like, hey Landon, shoot me his number so I can just ask him some business questions. Right. I want this to be like, like a good, like, just open-minded community of, like, just entrepreneurs that are just, like, a couple years into it. You know what I mean? Or just
Right.
really just not as much exposure as, like, these big names where it's like I've reached out to some people and it's like $100,000 to get them on the podcast. It's like, it sounds good.
Yeah, but some of the little guys, some of the big guys were little guys.
Everybody started, like, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan's name wasn't always Michael Jordan.
Right.
And it used to have zero ring to it.
Right.
He was just like you and I. You know what I mean? Just very minimal ring, just within our selective circle.
Right. So one of the only things that, might separate someone like the designer that I called out, Jorge Oliver, and, like a big time designer is just an opportunity, right? Opportunities like this. So I definitely think it's worth reaching out to someone like that.
Now, it says you do tech sales. So is that all you do? So, like, what all are you doing right now? Tech sales through this company that you're working through right now?
Yeah, I do tech sales and like partnerships.
So what all can you disclose about what you do right now?
So, doing tech sales, also doing partnerships, trying to onboard creators to the program. I'm actually working at LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, so the company,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, the social media.
So that's the company you work for then?
Yeah, that's the company I work for. That was acquired by Microsoft.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
So, yeah, just been doing like tech sales.
So what do you sell? Like the packages on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I'll be selling like recruiter, talent solutions.
So what could we do here? Because I'm just actually asking, because I literally just downloaded LinkedIn
Yeah.
before you got here, because I had it, but I added so many people that I deleted it because I've got so many people. I would just get notification after notification.
Aren't you trying to hire qualified people?
Yeah, we're always trying to hire. We just want salespeople. It does
Yeah.
the qualification is like pretty much English and like.
Go on LinkedIn.
But I've tried like
Purchase
DMing,
Recruiter.
and so it's just called Recruiter.
Yeah, purchase recruiter, like LinkedIn recruiter.
Well, if we did it through you, would you get a commission?
Yeah, I can help set it up for you.
Yeah,
for sure.
you might as well make a couple bucks if we're gonna test it out. What is it, like $250 a month or something? $500 a month?
Yeah, well, it depends on what exactly you want. We'll
I
talk
would
about
like
it.
try to generate like to start off, because what I'll do is start off one of the managers
Yeah.
here and be like, hey, look, set this up.
Yeah.
Let's give this guy 3 months. Sorry, we're striking a business deal right now, but
Yeah, no, definitely. LinkedIn recruiter is probably the most effective way of like sourcing candidates. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's just so much, unique technology that we have access to that helps you find
yeah,
the person best suitable for a role that you're trying to fulfill.
yeah.
So definitely, I would love to help you out. I actually
would be
see
dope.
salespeople on there all the time. I don't think there's a better resource than Recruiter.
Yeah,
We actually work with some pretty big companies.
because that's where
biggest
all the
companies
young
are-
people go is LinkedIn. But I'm always
Yeah.
like, why do I always get like the weird bots? And like I'm trying to find these young people.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest software sales companies in the world. They're selling some of the most,
Yeah.
innovative technology.
Yeah.
So I would definitely try to get on LinkedIn and use the platform, especially as a business owner, young business owner
Yeah.
looking to fulfill.
I know we're missing out
Certain-
there. We're missing out there. And I'm really just trying to get the rest of the culture on more social media so we can just kind of double our force.
Yeah.
Because it's not a matter of like we've got the skills, we've got the systems. The average producer is going to do $2,500 a week, but if we could just double our force,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Everything is just going to just double with it.
Yeah, I've actually been doing like partnerships with influencers as well, trying to onboard like influencers to the platform. So
That's sweet.
if you want to get on the platform and you want sort of like your own individual like consultant,
Yeah.
you could sort of show us like metrics from other social media to kind of like demonstrate the type of like traffic that you're generating on other social media platforms, and you can have your like own individualized like creator manager that would work with you, help
Wow.
you build your LinkedIn.
That's so dope.
Yeah, and it's really unique. I think they're doing something really great at LinkedIn. I think the two social medias that I'm looking at right now in terms of like innovation and growth for the future are LinkedIn and TikTok.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
where I'm spending all my time and money on TikTok right now.
Everything is on there.
So I'll
many
drop anywhere from
opportunities.
an extra $1,000 to $2,500 a week just through TikTok. And that's where I'm generating my most return, like organically. I put that on my Snap today. I was like, out of like my most organic exposure,
Yeah.
it's TikTok right now.
Yeah. That's why I say hop on LinkedIn, hop on TikTok.
I'm excited for this.
Those
LinkedIn.
are the two
Yeah,
those are the two social medias that are giving
that's dope.
their consumers the most value
That's dope.
right now. So for sure.
Now, what about, I'm really curious about like, now your culture, I would say more so from your dad's side would be pretty pretty different than your mom's side. Like, what's that? What was that like growing up? What have you really kind of like just embraced and really like live and love culturally?
So,
And from anything outside of home too.
yeah, I would just say it's the expectation to be great. You know, being anything other than great isn't an option.
Yeah.
So I sort of set this expectation of myself to be great holistically, right? I want to go in the gym. I want to be able to bench 300 pounds.
Yep.
I also want to score a 32 on the ACT. You know what I mean? I also want to be the best at my job. I want to be making 200, 300, 400,000. You know, I want to be able to be the best basketball player I can be. I want to be good at everything.
Yeah.
And this is sort of something that was cultivated when I was just being around my family. You know what I mean? I was just finding men and women who were just sharp and a multitude of different mediums.
Yeah.
Right? I want to be the best rapper of all time. I want to be good at everything. Because why not?
Yeah.
Why not? If you're going to do something, you better do it well.
Yep.
You know, you should want to be the best, right? Or you should be one of the best. You know what I mean? That's just how the cycle of relativity works, right? Like, especially if you're going to be comparing yourself to other people, you got to be great. You got to be willing to, you know, take on that burden of performance. And I feel like that was something that was instilled in me just from my culture.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is from my friends that are part of the same culture or similar cultures.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends are from countries like Senegal, and I have a lot of friends from Nigeria, Ghana, you know, even places like Ethiopia. You know what I mean? They all just have this dedication to being successful.
Yeah, it was
even my
actually
friends
Ethiopia,
from like
not Kenya.
the guy,
Yeah.
your friend.
You said that, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, even some of my guys from like India, like Pakistan, they're just like hustlers. You know what I mean? They're in the gym 5-6 days a week. You know what I mean? They're software engineers making, you know, 300,000. Still finding time to, you know, read books.
Yes.
Become more sharp mentally.
Yes.
There's like a burden of performance that exists.
Yeah.
And I don't think everyone identifies it. So in certain cultures, they make it known. They make it known that, yo, if you don't have this or if you don't do this, people aren't going to respect you.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
Do you have a favorite food? Like a favorite restaurant or something you're like, you just love to eat?
Yeah. So I love Indian food.
Yeah.
There's this place called Gaylord.
Yeah. I think
Cuisine.
Lana's told me about that.
Yeah,
It's in the city?
Yeah, it's in the city. It's downtown.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the Gold Coast neighborhood, but super good. One of my favorite restaurants in the city. I'm going to Maple and Ash tonight.
Love Maple and Ash.
Yeah, great restaurant.
What are you going to get?
I've never actually been there before, so I'm excited for the opportunity.
The last time I did,
Yeah.
it was the fuck it or something.
Oh, the fuck it, that just give
They
me whatever.
they just bring you everything.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. And then I got the, I love Wagyu, so I'll always ask for their A5.
Oh, I love like Japanese barbecue, Korean barbecue,
Yeah.
things like that. But I would say my favorite food out of all foods is probably Nigerian food. Just
And that, what would that be?
just like rice and stew.
Yeah.
You can also have like fufu, and some might call it like pounded yam.
I forget what the Ethiopian food was, but like there was like this, well, almost like a pancake-ish type of bread, and then you would scoop everything up, and it was really good actually.
Yeah, that's
Like, I really loved it.
Very similar to what we have, but you know, I'm a very simple guy. I just like some carbs with some protein.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why I told Landon when we go out tonight. I was like, I just need to generally be within like this much carbs and protein. As long as I don't do sugar, I'll be all right.
Right. So, yeah, I'm fine with Chipotle. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just like carbs and protein. If there's carbs and protein, rice, especially rice. I love rice.
Yeah.
And some meat. I'm good.
Now, as we wrap up, I'm always curious. I try to tie it in. If I feel like I didn't hear it, just want to solidify it of what's the hardest adversity you've had to overcome in your life?
I feel like everything was internal. Just like being down
Yeah.
on myself. I usually don't let external things affect me that much, or I'm able to brush them off my shoulders.
Yeah.
I can witness somebody get killed and, you know, I'm good like a week later.
Yeah.
I can encounter a violent situation and, you know, sort of recover from that. But I think the only adversity that sustained itself was, you know, sort of the internal battles that I face.
Yeah.
You know, just just things going on mentally. And so I feel like I've overcome them, especially like early in the pandemic. I felt like I went through one of the most, difficult times in my life, right? Just like from a mental perspective. I don't know if it's because I wasn't getting enough sunlight. Also lost like $100,000 in the market doing some stupid stuff. So
Yeah.
was just
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a great reason to have a sad week, bro.
was in a period of time in my life where I just had to make things happen and wasn't satisfied with where I was at, and then I lost a bunch of money. You know what I mean? But luckily, I tell this friend this all the time. One of my friends, I was actually in a really bad situation. I got like beat up by the police and everything. It was just a lot going on. Like that week, I lost $100,000. It was just a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was telling one of my friends about this. Well, I didn't tell her. I never tell people like when bad things are going on in my life. But she just recognized that, I haven't been acting myself.
Something was off.
Yeah, something was off.
Yeah.
She invited me over to her house to get Jamaican food. And my life was never the same after that one meeting, after that one encounter. It gave me that reset I needed. I was like, this is someone that believes in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got to repay them for this encounter.
Yeah.
So.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Anything you want to shout out? Any endeavors, businesses, or anything at all you want to shout out? Anybody?
Yeah, well, you can find me on Instagram at Tony Santana Raps. You can follow my music page, The
Make sure I
Stranded
follow you.
Civilians. Really grateful to be here. This is a great podcast. Really big fan of Tristan and everything he has going on. So appreciate you for having us.
I appreciate you, bro. This was dope. This is really cool. And I actually, I want to hear this line real quick before you take off from, what was it, the Midwest?
Yeah, Midwest side.
And it's in here. It like plays it. You guys got to hear this line. It's good. It's only like 15 seconds. This is so good. Midwest side.
Yeah, that's one of my.
That was hard.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs, especially the end of my verse.
That was so
I
hard.
said something like, "I care about your emotions. I know you fine because you glowing. We probably got to talk about that because I care about your emotions." Yeah, it was just relatable.
So good.
Yeah, so I love that song, Midwest Side.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Another episode of Adversity Kings. We out. We appreciate you. Tony Santana. Let's go. Let's get this money.